They call it the most magical place on earth.
But for those working and seeing behind the curtain,
you might call it a psychological thriller.
Long hours,
eerie backstage corridors,
and then there's the pressure to smile no matter what.
Being a Disney cast member isn't just about the pixie dust.
It's also about surviving the darker side of magic.
These are the scariest parts about working at Disney World.
And once you hear them, you may never look at the parks the same way again.
Note, I am still a Disney cast member and I do not speak on behalf or represent the Disney company in any way.
You may have to call 911 a lot. Like any other theme park, accidents and emergencies can and will happen. This could be someone falling and skinning their knee, so they have to go to first aid for some bandages, to someone having a heat stroke due to dehydration, to even having a heart attack in the middle of the park. Cast members have to be prepared to handle it all. This means that as a cast member, you must be trained to assess the situation as calmly as possible and be able to tell emergency services where you are in the park and what's going on. This can be nerve-wracking, but it's part of the job.
On a much lighter, yet still dangerous note, cast member discounts. You can get discounts as a cast member on nearly everything. Merchandise, food, hotel stays, tickets, cruises, a lot. And knowing how much you're saving, sometimes you tend to spend a little more than you would, and money does go fast in Disney World. Because here's the catch, sometimes these discounts can be a little too tempting. When you know you can get 20% on that lounge fly you've had your eye on for a long time, or the third Mickey bar you've had today, it's easy to justify swiping that card a few more times than you usually would. Well, I'm saving 20%, so technically, if I combine those numbers of the 20% that I'm making, that adds up to another Spirit jersey I could potentially purchase. Hashtag
Disney math.
It's girl math, but Disney math. I made it. Brand it.
Brand it right now. I'm done.
And before you know it, because of your cast member discounts, your cast member paycheck is disappearing way quicker than it should. Quicker than the fine morning mist on a dewy castle day on a Tuesday in the month of June. This might seem trivial, but this is 1,000% real. Some cast members actually joke that their paycheck goes directly back to the mouse. Now, this isn't always the case, but typically people who are working for Disney want to work for Disney. They like the branding, they like the magic of it all, the nostalgia of it all. So sometimes they can't resist the limited time drops, the after hour parties if they can swing it, all the above. And these cast members have been working hard all day, so it's also easy to fall into the trap of, hey, I deserve this. And I'm here to tell you, you do. But also, so while these cast member discounts are magical, they can also be a budgetary beast if you're not careful.
I get the fun topic of, bear with me, guests getting violent. Disney was known for its magic, and honestly, it is so peaceful and it's just so sweet. Despite how crowded the parks can be, the heat can get, and the high emotions that are tagged along with all of that. That being said, Disney World is a real place full of real people, and sometimes those tired, stressed out, and hot people who have no food in their system but a nice coffee get a little overwhelmed, we'll say. Between those long lines and the missed dining reservations and the occasional stroller traffic jams, tempers can flare. Yeah. I'm just gonna say tempers can flare. Cast members are trained to de-escalate the situations quickly, but even they will tell you, and I can tell you from personal experience, that guests can get surprisingly aggressive over things like parade spots, ride closures, or even something as simple as not being able to get specific discounts that they want on certain merchandise.
Brand it right now.
It is rare, but it is not unheard of for those magical days to quickly become emotional and just take a big sharp turn and not be exactly what you thought of. I personally had 2 different experiences with guests getting a little bit more aggressive, really 3 that stick out to me, when I did have to involve security and management in all three of those situations. I had to involve security and management. One in particular, someone actually threatened to beat me up. That's a real thing that happened. And I won't go into the details of it because they had clearly had a tough day. But All of this to be said, you're having a tough day, I promise. So are the cast members at times. Maybe don't resort to violence, even if you are mad, even if you absolutely feel like they are wronging you. Aggression is probably not the route to go in. And don't threaten to beat cast members up because it's scary. That's a scary moment. I've never had anyone else threaten to beat me up in my life, except when I was a Disney World cast member. So just don't be aggressive. Don't be aggressive. I want to like start doing the cheer. Be aggressive, but like don't be aggressive. Please don't be aggressive.
Now this one's real scary. The fact that Disney is always watching you. One of the more subtle, but very real dangers of working at Disney World, the fact that Disney is always watching. And we don't mean that in a spooky Big Brother kind of way. Well, maybe a little. From backstage areas to onstage interactions, cast members are constantly monitored to make sure the magic stays alive and that the show never breaks. That means every smile, every wave, every have a magical day is part of the performance. And slipping out of character, even for just a second, can lead to serious consequences. Cameras are everywhere, managers are always nearby, and yes, even guests sometimes report behavior that doesn't match the Disney standard. It's a high-pressure environment where one misstep can mean a write-up or even worse.
I feel like I'm about to get clocked for this one because this is my talking point, and if you follow me anywhere else, you do know this to be true. Having multiple jobs because sometimes the Disney paycheck just isn't enough for what's happening in the world today. One of the less magical realities of working at Disney World is that sometimes cast members do have to work multiple jobs in order to make ends meet. While the pixie dust and the perks are very real, the pay itself often isn't enough to cover just your basic expenses, especially here in Central Florida where the price of living just continues to rise and rise. I mean, the housing market alone here in Central Florida, it has just completely skyrocketed. It's insane. It is not uncommon for cast members to work their full shift and then to have to go somewhere else to do a second gig. The perfect example for this. That second gig could be anything: retail, food service, entertainment, singing in a cape, building immersive experiences. This is pretty central to me. I'm not saying everybody is going and building immersive experiences after their Disney shift, but this bullet point was delivered to me, so I feel like I am at liberty to say that I really resonate with what's happening here. Don't get me wrong, the passion for creating the magic is strong, but the financial strain is real as well. I can speak to it specifically from an entertainment aspect as well. I know for a fact that many people will work at Disney World from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and do their show matrix for the day, and then they'll head to Epic Universe or Universal Studios and do the night entertainment there. That is a very common thing happening here in Central Florida. Now, talking to some of my cast member friends, including myself, some people do extra work because they like the diversity. Showing up and doing, the same ride operations every day can be a tad mentally and physically draining. So sometimes we like to mix it up a little bit and get a side hustle or a second job, one to make ends meet, but two to mix it up a little bit. And that's okay too. Everybody's different. Same storm, different boats. It's just a reminder that the people making the magic are working incredibly hard, often in more ways than one. So we see you, we support you, and thanks for doing what you do.
I'm getting all the fun topics today. I'm also getting to be very real with you. Let's be real. Disney guests, 99% of them are there to soak up the magic. Not everyone is on their best behavior when they are in the parks. Cast members are dealing with thousands of people a day. Not every single interaction is going to be great. Some of them, I will say, are downright unpleasant. That's about as aggressive as I'll get. Guests can yell at you over ride closures. They might snap at cast members because a mobile order took too long. They might even demand a refund because it rained. Yes, this is something that happens. Entitlement can be intense, and you did pay a lot to be there, but Disney can't control if it rains, despite the rumors. We've actually debunked that. It's not true. And it's not just verbal. A lot of times guests do ignore the safety rules. They disrespect cast members. They at times can treat us like little personal assistants instead of hardworking human beings, because that's what they are. They are hardworking human beings. Cast members are, of course, trained to be calm, professional. They know how to de-escalate the situation like we talked about, but behind the scenes, those moments are really draining. They are really heavy and hard moments. No matter what the you're going through yelling at a cast member, it's not a good feeling being yelled at over something that I would almost bet a lot of money you couldn't control. The whole reason we're talking about this is just to say the next time you're in the parks, kindness goes a really long way. A simple thank you or smile or just even like saying, don't worry, no rush, can mean the world to someone who has been dealing with dozens of angry guests that afternoon. Magic isn't just in the fireworks, it's in how we treat each other. And I actually really love that. I'm gonna give credit to Fry who wrote that line. That's really sweet and special because it's true. It is one of those things that you never know what's going on in everyone's life. The same can be said for you as a Disney guest, and maybe you needed that trip because of something hard that's going on in your life. But just because things aren't perfect the way that you should be does not mean you should make anyone else's day harder. Because again, a lot of the cast members that you're interacting with are not the reason a ride is closed or it's raining or the food didn't come out fast enough. I promise they want to give you a good experience because the better experience you have, the nicer you are to them. So just again, treat everyone with kindness. Be extra sweet, be extra kind. Don't make cast members cry because it doesn't make us feel good. And I maybe can't speak for all three of us in this video, but I can speak for me. You guys have made me cry before. Be sweet, be super sweet. Not you guys now on the video, when I was a cast member.
And finally, one of the arguably scariest things about being a Disney cast member is worrying that the parks will lose the magic. One of the scariest parts of being a Disney cast member isn't backstage injuries or dealing with difficult guests. It's the quiet fear that the parks might lose their magic. For many cast members, Disney isn't just a job, it's a calling. They grew up loving the parks, and they dreamed of being part of the magic. And now they're the ones helping create it every day.
But when you're behind the curtain long enough, you start to see the cracks. Budget cuts, rushed training, overworked teams, and guests who treat the parks more like a checklist than a vacation. All of that. It can all just start to chip away at the initial sparkle you once felt. And some cast members would even say they're nervous that Disney World is becoming more manufactured than meaningful. And at the heart of Disney, the storytelling, the wonder might just get lost in the shuffle.
This one can be a really tough feeling to wrestle with, especially when you feel like you're pouring your heart and soul into your shifts or into the experience that you're trying to have as a cast member. For many cast members though, it's kind of what drives them to work harder. You want to protect the magic, even if it might feel fragile to you some days after hard shifts or seeing things that maybe don't make the parks feel as magical as they might have in the past. At the end of the day, one nice smile, one moment, one memory, that can make it all worth it, even if it does impact how you view the parks. And if the parks lose that magic, that's not possible. It might become a different style or kind of magic, but those moments feel so special and it makes those shifts even better.
If you are a cast member and you are watching this video right now, stop what you're doing and comment below because we want to hear from you. We want to hear your stories. In your opinion, what are some of the scariest parts about being a Disney cast member? Or if you just want to share a fun memory, that's okay. I'll read that too.
Be sure to comment this secret code down below and stick around for tons of different Disney World tips, tricks, secrets, and more. Why? Take it, Fry.
Because we're serious about fun. See you next time.